And you said that the number is rounded up to the nearest whole, correct?
Yes.
And feature, that column is blank. What does that represent?
At AT&T, we have a whole gambit of calling features. It could be mobile-to-mobile calling. It could be a rate plan.
So information pertaining to the type of plan would be contained in this column.
Yes.
The next is usage type. What is meant by these two letters here?
The abbreviations that we see here for usage type, one represents DT. DT identifies daytime. NW is nights and weekends.
And next is charge. What does this column represent?
Charge is the amount that we actually bill the customer. And as you see here, daytime minutes, it's in its bucket, so it's indicated at 0. So during that transaction, he didn't have to pay as far as that particular call is within his bucket of minutes.
And here, roam type. What is signified with this column?
H identifies as being home network. There could be a R identified there as far as roaming network.
And here we have, looks like I can only get two. This column, switch code, what is signified in this information?
Switch code identifies it's an acronym as far as the area where the call has terminated to or received from.
And SID?
SID is the service identification, and that represents AT&T Mobility.
And the last three columns. What does serving area, LAC, and CID represent?
Serving area is a general location where the call may have been terminated from or received. And identified here as Los Angeles 3G is our 3G network. And LAC identifies location area code. And once again, that's a numerical expression.
And CID?
And CID is cell identity.
I'm sorry?
Cell identity for cell sites.
So in the column where the date information is recorded, I'd like to now focus on June 25th, and there are a variety of calls that are recorded as having transacted on June 25th, 2009, correct?
Yes.
And as you described for us in the columns, information reflected would be the date, the time, the number called to, and the minutes used, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a 2-page document. I'd ask that it be marked People's 52, please.
It is.
Mr. Dixon, prior to testifying this morning, did you have an opportunity to review the document that I have placed on the projector that's been marked as People's Number 52?
Yes.
And this document, People's Number 52, contains the cell phone calls that are reflected in the AT&T phone records that were marked as People's Number 51, reflecting the June 25th, 2009 incoming and outgoing calls on Conrad Murray's AT&T cell phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you reviewed the calls beginning 7:01 a.m. and through the period of 5:02 p.m. as I asked you to do, correct?
Yes.
Now, I'd like to focus your attention on the light gray areas beginning with 9:23 a.m. Do you see that there on the screen?
Yes.
And on June 25th, 2009, in the AT&T cell phone records that you have been testifying about, did you see a phone call at 9:23 a.m. and the call was placed from at 9:23 a.m. placed from 702-290-2909 to Conrad Murray's AT&T cell phone, lasting 22 minutes?
Yes.
And the next entry from AT&T phone records on June 25th, 2009 occurred at 10:14 a.m. It was a call from 713-699-4955 placed to Conrad Murray's AT&T cell phone, and that call duration was 2 minutes, correct?
Yes.
The next entry on the AT&T phone records of Conrad Murray is a phone call recorded at 11:07 a.m., and that call was from area code 619-994-3233, placed to Conrad Murray's AT&T cell phone, and that was a call lasting 1 minute.
Yes.
And the next call would be 11:18 a.m. call from 702-862-0973, which we know is Conrad Murray's cell phone, and that call was placed to another 702 number, 866-6802, and that call duration was 32 minutes, correct?
Yes.
Moving to the next phone call, Conrad Murray's phone usage reflects a call at 11:49 a.m., and the number is 702-862-0973. Call placed to 702-808-4989. That call duration was 3 minutes. Is that accurate, sir?
Yes.
The next call would be immediately thereafter, 11:51 a.m. The call from Dr. Murray's phone to 832-366-3832, and that phone call lasted 11 minutes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the next entry, usage of Dr. Murray's AT&T cell phone occurred at 12:12 p.m. It was a call from Conrad Murray's cell phone to area code 562-881-2570, and that call duration was 1 minute, correct?
Yes.
And then at 12:15 p.m., there was a call from that same previous number, 562-881-2570, placed to Dr. Murray's AT&T cell phone, and that phone call duration was 1 minute, correct?
Yes.
And then we have 4 more phone calls from his AT&T phone in the relevant time period that I requested you review. That would be 3:38 p.m., a call from Conrad Murray's cell phone to 310-310-8070, and that phone call lasted 2 minutes, correct?
Yes.
And then another phone call placed to the same number at 4:31 p.m., calling from Dr. Murray's AT&T cell phone to 310-310-8070, 1 minute.
Yes.
Same at 4:32 p.m., same call from Dr. Murray's cell phone to the same 310 number, 1 minute duration, and the same at 5:02 p.m., same call from Dr. Murray's cell phone to the same 310 number, 310-8070, 1 minute. Is that correct?
Yes.
Hannah, may I have the lights, please?
May we? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dixon, the cell phone records that we are discussing today from AT&T contain information concerning data as well as cell phone usage, correct?
Yes.
I'd like to turn your attention now to page 66 of the AT&T document. And Your Honor, for the record, this is exhibit number 51, and it's page 66 of the AT&T records. Your Honor, may we have the lights, please?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon, turning our attention to page 66, is this a portion of Conrad Murray's cell phone records that reflect data transfer information related to a particular cell phone plan?
Yes.
Would you describe the information that is contained in this portion of the phone records, please?
The information that's contained in these records identify line items pertaining to data. We have as far as run date, run time, and also item number, date, and time. So we have item, we have a date, which is course, a month, a day, and a year. Time represents specific standard time in this identification. Send to, since it's data, there's no information that's indicated there. And receive from, no information. Quantity used, and that's in kilobytes. And we identify it as 4, then we go over the 13. So more data is being used there in comparison to 4.
So the higher number represents, would that be like a larger document or a wordier email, something like that?
More information is actually sent to the mobile, yes.
And the next column?
Next column identifies usage type. As data, we represent GPRS, which is called General Packet Radio Service.
What does SMS mean?
Short messaging service.
And continuing across the top with the headers reflecting type of information?
Roam type, which is blank. Switch code is blank. The SID. And also, the main important thing here is serving area identifies data. And there's one that's identified as text message. So a text message is either sent or received there.
Very well. So the serving area column represents a description of the type of usage of data, text message versus an email or internet, correct?
Yes.
And the LAC and the CID have the same explanation in relationship to data as to the cell phone usage that you previously explained, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon, I'd like to turn your attention to the data usage for the period of June 25th, 2009. And first, we'll just focus on the third column that is depicted here on the screen. This would be the times, correct?
Yes.
So on June 25th, the first data entry time would be 1:04 a.m., and all of these subsequent numbers, are times 1:04, 2:04, 3:04, 4:04, 5:04, etc. They reflect data on the phone, correct?
Yes.
Is there anything significant in terms of your interpretation of this data when you see the timestamp of such uniformity, such as 1:04, 2:04, 3:04, etc.?
Yes.
And what is that, sir?
That represents that it's a sequential order identified in every hour as far as sequence. So that tells me that something happens on their device where they're automatically getting information that is pulled to them from their mobile handset, a particular setting.
Is that commonly known, if you're a customer, as push notification, where your phone can push data to your server?
Actually, it's called pull.
Pull notification?
Yes.